Hello and welcome to Business Today Television. I'm Karishma Asoodani, and joining me today is a seasoned business leader who has various feathers to his cap, but the most significant one being in aviation, Aditya Ghosh. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Karishma. Thank you for having me.
I'd like to start off by first congratulating you for being felicitated with an award highlighting your role in the Indo-France business relations. Félicitations, c'est très bien, like they say in French.
Thank you, merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. It is special, and when I'm also, as I say, grateful to all the people who made me look good, over the years. So extremely, very happy. Thank you so much.
Great. Good to know. I'd start off this conversation by, of course, addressing the elephant in the rooms and talking about the airfares and the high airfares. What do you think about these high airfares across the domestic sector, and what can be done to reduce them?
Karishma, I think every once in a while when there is suddenly a demand-supply sort of gap, there is this, sometimes it happens that there are these fares that peak. And frankly, I've said the same boring thing for now almost 15, 17 years, that airfares consistently should be affordable. Now, there will be always some peaks and troughs depending on how much there is demand, but there should not be any gouging of fares. There should not be any unnecessary abuse of a particular near-term opportunity. How do we bring fares down? I mean, which is what you asked me. I think it's probably a combination of two things. At an overall level, there needs to be a consistent supply of new capacity coming in, because India is a highly underpenetrated market. For a country of 1.4 billion people, give or take 500 commercial airplanes is really nothing, and not all those 500 commercial airplanes are flying, and not all of the ones which are flying are in the domestic market. So it's the actual domestic capacity is even less than those 500 airplanes. So just continuously new capacity coming in, new airplanes coming in to meet that demand is the basic fundamental. The second is that, I have a reasonably simplistic view on fares, that, it should be at a level which meets the cost of an airline. And at the same time, it cannot be something which hurts the customer. Now, the way to really do that is, even when you're bringing in new capacity, for airlines to be able to focus on their cost structure. Because if their cost structure is much lower than in the past, then the fares, even if they meet that cost, does not have to be something which starts, becoming a pain point for customers. So I think this is the way I kind of look at airfares.
Right, Aditya. And also talking a bit, of course, the fact that they're also deregulated in India, there's no regulator as such for pricing, but the government has been, of course, asking the airlines to personally look into it. Do you think, Aditya, this has been an added challenge also because of the way the situation has turned out of Jet Airways grounding, and then now what has happened with Go First?
I think, there is no denying the fact that when capacity goes out in whatever way, right, whether an airline goes bankrupt or whether there's a shutdown or whatever it might be, there is as supply goes down, demand goes up, there is a demand-supply gap, fares tend to go higher. You're right, India is a deregulated market. There is no fare regulator. And I cannot speak for the government, but I don't think the government is interested in regulating fares. I think what the government has been rightfully saying is that, hey, guys, don't get to a point where it starts peaking at a level which becomes excruciatingly painful for the consumer. And frankly, I agree with that. I think if airlines are run a disciplined cost structure, and yet, of course, have to offer fares where they can meet their costs, because you wouldn't want loss-making airlines. But if they act in the interest of the consumer, I don't think governments have to come in. The governments only come in India, at least when they're forced. And it's really, what the government is saying is right, that don't gouge fares, don't abuse your dominant power in the market. And I think they're right in saying that. And it's really up to us to make sure that we are able to provide consistently affordable fares. Now there will be, that's it.
Okay. Could you also tell us a bit about how's the plan of action proceeding with the Akasa Air? We do listen about the expansion plans month by month.
Well, it's been a good start. I always say, and at the same time, we're only 10 months old. So we have a long, many years of journey ahead of us, or flight path ahead of us. But having said that, I think we have really focused on the consumer. We have focused on creating a work environment which employees love. We've tried to create a culture of service excellence with cost leadership, and building it on a world-class platform of safety. And in the first 10 months, getting up to 19 airplanes, which no airline in the world has ever done, the fastest growing startup airline in history. We are India's most on-time airline. And so we are already serving, several destinations, 16 destinations. So I'd say it's a strong start. But in this business, every flight, every day is, you're pushing fuel into the wings and starting all over again. So I wouldn't want to get ahead of ourselves. But it's progressing well. It's progressing according to plan. We hope to be, 20 airplanes pretty soon. We will at least have the ability to fly international very soon too. We will finish our 1 year at the beginning of August. I think we are seeing strong interest from airline professionals to come and join Akasa.
Have you identified international destinations yet? Like, to start off with?
I think the teams are working hard and looking at various options, but not surprising. But it'll be somewhere in either the Southeast of Asia or Middle East, and that's the kind of range that our aircraft can comfortably fly. We also think that's where there is massive amount of demand. So I think that's where it will be. And then we've tried to, as our whole in-flight experience is somewhat enhanced, whether it is a more comfortable seat, or whether it is a bigger seat pitch, or just the food on board, the service. I think when you put it all together, and it's not even been 300 days, we're smiling, but we're also acutely aware that we've got a very long journey ahead of us.
But tell me something, Aditya. You've been in the industry for so long, and across the key airlines, could Go First downfall turn out to be an opportunity for Akasa?
I don't see it that way, frankly, Karishma. The way I see it is, let me put it two ways. One, I think any airline which looks at the very near term, very immediate term, I think that's a mistake. Because this is really a long-term business. You have to have the vision and the tenacity to be able to last out for a very long period of time. So that's one. At the same time, I also say that, when you have some near-term challenges, that's also not the end of the world. So I really think that the long-term, view is what one needs to take. The second is, in a country like India, and more specifically in India, we are blessed with a market which is deeply underpenetrated. So there is a huge opportunity to bring in new airplanes. There is a space for several well-run airlines in India. And the third is air traffic, traditionally over the last several decades, there is a pattern where it has a very symbiotic relationship with the overall growth of the economy. And like you said, I've been around for a while. There is no denying that the pace at which India is growing today, the fact that we have close to 1 billion people under the age of 35, and that we have strong tailwinds behind our overall economy and GDP growth, it means that we as the aviation sector will just, out of sheer symbiotic effect, will benefit from that. And therefore, this seems like a good industry to be in.
Talking about it being a good industry to be in, I have to address the Maharaja, and that is Air India 2.0. In fact, it's the new Vihan project. What do you think about that?
I think, look, any strong airline out of India is a good thing for the overall environment. I really wish them well. They've taken on something with a lot of courage and bravery, and I really wish them luck. And more than anything else, I know it sounds a little bit, probably, I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for, but the way I kind of think about it is the hundreds, if not thousands and tens of thousands of young Indians will be able to create a long-term career with the airline business, which I think is great news, and therefore this only means that if there are strong airlines which create great work environments, provide long-term opportunity for people, it's got to be good for the industry.
Yes, and we're talking about a self-reliant India, and like you did mention, be it the way Air India is working, or you see Akasa, it's also creating a lot of job opportunities for a lot of young aviation enthusiasts who have been looking to be
absolutely.
Talking a little bit, we've spoken a lot about the aviation industry, so I'm going to end this chat by putting this question straight to you. What next for Aditya Ghosh?
I wish I knew. I'm not somebody who kind of really plans for the long term, but I am somebody who tries to put his heart and soul into something. But yeah, broadly speaking, I think, Karishma, it's a combination of focusing more on what is my core strength, which is building long-term, large-scale businesses. The second bucket is being able to support a lot of young, early-stage companies across industries. And many of, actually, other than one out of the entire portfolio is our companies started by women entrepreneurs and women founders, and I'm investors in them. I work closely with them. So that brings me a lot of joy and fulfillment. And finally, there is a large part of my life which is in the sort of impact sector, whether it is education or whether it is higher education or gender rights or women's empowerment. Whether it's Seva, Ashoka, Akasa, Slough Farm, I think these it's a mix of various things. So I hope I'm able to have the energy and the enthusiasm to continue to do that, and more importantly, get to work with people who I learned so much from. If Vinay is just is an example of that, and I just so much enjoy working with Vinay. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Aditya, for sharing with us, and we wish you luck in your endeavors ahead, and also bright future for Akasa.
Thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share, and subscribe.